Well, good morning, everyone. This is Chris Welch with Bushland Falcon Media, along with my partner Stephen Lyles and Coach Reynolds. And round one of the playoffs, Coach's Show. We took a break last week. It was a much-needed break for everyone, probably. I think we were just as busy, more than likely, with volleyball coming into play. But so, Coach, let's kind of rewind a little bit. Let's go back a couple of weeks to that last game to kind of close out the season.
Yeah, going into that Dalhart game, we definitely, wanted to come back out and get out on the field as soon as possible, with the shallow water game being right before that. And, anytime you lose, you have that bad taste in your mouth and you want to get back out there and get going and prove yourself again. So it was good to get back out there. We played a Dalhart team that was playing with a lot of confidence at that time, especially offensively, and doing some good things. So I was really pleased with the outcome, really pleased with our kids, process that week and preparing for the game and really coming back, after the shallow water game. I thought we did a good job in, all three phases of the game and just played really well.
You talk about the preparation going in. What has the preparation been like the last 2 weeks? We've gone all season without a break. What did last week look like for you and the boys?
Well, what we tried to do last week and during the bye week, we tried to kind of give them Monday off, just kind of a day to get there. Monday, I think we maybe watched film and lifted weights during the athletic period. But as far as after school, we told them to go home and just kind of get their mind away from it for a day. And then we came back and practiced Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. A little bit shorter practices as far as time. We tried to utilize the athletic period and then practice after school for another 45 minutes or so. And I really just tried to still practice with the high tempo and everything we did. We still wanted to go out there and break a sweat and run around and have some tempo about what we're doing, but just cut down the steps, cut down the numbers, cut down the contact for sure, probably last week. And really just, I say get back to fundamentals, but we feel like we work on this same stuff every week, So I think we just kind of wanted to stay in rhythm a little bit and take care of our bodies and our minds and then start thinking about our playoff game and getting ready for this week.
So we talk about this 2 weeks, and you kind of have a break in there. How important is routine? Because, I know we all get into our routines, whether it's getting up every morning, how you get dressed. But to stay in that routine for those guys, how important do you think that is for that team to kind of keep that continuity?
Oh, yeah, I'm big on the routine as well, That's why we tried to still practice last week, and just kind of do what we do this week. We just split it up a little bit, For example, during the bye week, during the athletic period, we would do maybe offense. We'd put our pads on and go outside and practice offense during the period and then defense after school. So we were still getting our offensive practice, defensive practice. We were just getting them out back home or wherever they were going, to girlfriend's house or wherever, okay, a little earlier. So to stay in routine is big. We don't want to get rusty on anything. We want to throw and catch and still rep our run game and work our fits on defense and coverages and everything and special teams, punt and kick and catch and all that kind of stuff. So I think staying in routine as much as possible is big.
So a bye week Friday night. Obviously, we had an idea we were going to play Kermit. What did Coach do on Friday night? Did you find you a football game? Did you watch Kermit on NFHS? What'd you do there?
Well, my first thought was to go down to Kermit, and then it was 5 hours, and we were going to be working the next morning. So what I did, I stayed at home, and I watched several games live stream. I watched some of the Kermit Denver City game. I watched a couple of teams in our district just to kind of see how they were doing. I watched several different other ones, kind of looking ahead a little bit as much as I could. So I just watched football, I guess I don't know what else to do this time of year. So it's like I don't get enough. That's all I do Saturday and Saturday night and Sunday. And so, but I just tried to watch some local teams and then tried to watch the Kermit Denver City game as well.
Before we get into this week's contest with Kermit, if we rewind 11 weeks, is there something that Coach Reynolds now would tell Coach Reynolds at the beginning of the season that you think he should know, having the 11 weeks of experience?
Man, you put the pressure on me on this one. I think it's something that I knew, but you don't ever know until you start playing games and you get in the battle. If I could tell myself something now back to week one is that you're going to have a bunch of kids that are going to fight. So you got a chance every Friday night. And again, I think we knew that, but until you're out there with that particular group, even though you have some of those kids back from last year's team, every team every year is always different. You know, next year we'll have some kids back, but it's a different locker room. You know what I mean? It's always a little bit different, so you don't know exactly for sure, you know, what you're getting. Even going back to week 1 against West Plains, you know, that's week 1. You don't really, you know, scrimmages went well and everything, but you're getting a game. How's your team going to, you know, mold and develop, you know, through the year is really important. So if I could tell myself is just, because as a head coach, you're always worrying. You know, you're always worried about everything. I was texting back and forth with Coach Thomas last night, and he was giving me a hard time because I'm, you know, just worried about everything right now. Because that's the head coach coming out in you're always worried. But, yeah, just I think it would be that you have a bunch of kids that want to win and that are going to play hard every Friday night.
You know, you mentioned Coach Thomas, and you realize how special this time of year is. I think when I looked at the stats last week, we made a post. There were 586 coaches that their season's over, and this is a special time. And obviously, we believe we're going to play for quite a while. But what do you tell? Is the message any different heading into week 1 of the playoffs than it was heading into week 1 of the season?
I think everybody understands the difference is, you know, I won't say there's more pressure, but you lose, you're done now. You know, week 1, like you said, you lose, you know, or whatever, you learn from it and you try to get better the next week. And that's what all that's for, is to try to keep getting better and learning. I think everybody understands now, you know, there's a little more pressure as far as that goes. I mean, you don't show up and you lose, you're done. Your season's over with. And, but as far as our approach and what we don't necessarily talk about that, you know, kids know it, coaches know it, but we have to just worry about taking care of us. And I think that's something that's, you know, like I said, I've said that numerous times throughout this year on this show, and it is coach speak, but I think we got to stick to it, and it's true, you know, is that we just have to focus on us. You know, we can't, during the week, we can't worry about what if we lose, what if we don't play good, what if. Your season's going to come to an end at some point, whether it's tonight, whether it's 5 or 6 weeks from now. Everybody's, even the team that wins it all, it'll be over at some point, and we all move on, you know. And we have to stay in the moment and just worry about today. Whether that was Monday, worry about today. How can we get better at practice? How can we, you know, do the things that we do to take care of Thursday night or Friday night? So, you know, that's the approach we're taking. It's still honestly real similar to the rest of the season as far as just, you know, Monday's learning the scouting report, learning what the other team's offense and defense, special teams are going to do. Repping that stuff. Tuesday, getting a lot of reps at it, getting better at it. Wednesday, we should have a pretty good idea of what's going on. It should be a pretty good, positive Wednesday. Thursday, we walk through, put the hay in the barn, and Friday we go play. Now, obviously, we're playing Thursday this week, but we're going to pretty much treat it the same this week as we have, you know, all the past 10 weeks.
So we're playing Kermit tonight, so Thursday night, so it throws the schedule a little bit off. But I don't think we've ever played Kermit that I remember since we've been here, have we?
Yeah, we played them. I'm trying to think. It was maybe like 2018, somewhere around there. I think it was Connor Childers, Ren Watson, Clayton Heatland, that group.
Okay.
Jackson Baggett, because we played them in Levelland, I think. I remember Connor for sure because I think the first play of the game, he ran counter for about 70 yards for a touchdown. So that still sticks out in my head. So we've played them, and it's been a handful of years.
Okay.
So
what do we know about them as far as what's their scheme looks like on offense and defense?
You know, they have a new coach this year. He was a assistant coach at Lubbock Roosevelt for the last couple of years. He's doing a good job with those kids. You can tell when they step out on the field, they expect to win. Doesn't matter who they're playing. They think they can win when they step out there, and I think that goes back to last week when they were playing Denver City. You know, Denver City's a undefeated district champion, you know, and they're leading Denver City 14-8 at halftime. So they want to run. They're high percentage running the football. They want to run the football. They will take some shots down the field. They're kind of a gun, 2-back, 3-back sometimes. Power run football team with some good athletes. Defensively, they give you some different looks. We've seen them do some different things front-wise. So, we know we got to show up and play because they're going to play hard. We know that. I think our kids know that by watching them, watching some of their scores. There was another game earlier in the season they won that people weren't expecting them to win. So I don't think they're going to be intimidated, and they're going to be ready to play.
Watching that Kermit game last week, I'm like you. I don't know what else to do but watch football on Friday night. And, they get pinned deep. Denver City punter, you can't punt it any better. I think it went out on about the 1 yard line. 2 plays later, they take it 98 yards to the house. And you could see they played with such confidence. What is it, as a new coach, because you go back to that 3 years ago, you're trying to, and obviously your situation was a little bit different. You kind of got thrown into it right in the middle. But as a new coach there in Kermit, and you see a lot of positives on paper, what is a first-year coach looking for from his team tonight? Obviously, he's coming in facing a tough Bushland team. But what do you feel like on the other side they're looking to do?
Well, I think, I look back at my situation year one. I think what you want to do as a new coach, as a first-year coach, you want to try to develop your identity in your program. What's your program going to be about? The buzzword everybody talks about now is culture, whatever you want to call it. Well, I just talk about what's your identity. I think our identity that we've developed, and it's probably been developed for a long time, that we've continued, to be honest with you, but is, we play extremely fast on defense. We attack, and that's, one thing I get from other coaches when they call and talk about it. Man, your defense, they just fly around like a bunch of little ants flying around into the ball, and just, offensively, we want to play faster and try to get people to tap out. We're just trying to play so fast that they're so tired, and we get a lead, and they don't want to play anymore. That's what we want from our identity. So I think that in any first-year head coach, whatever your philosophy is, I think you want your kids to buy into the way you want them to play. And I think Coach Gensler's done a good job of instilling that. Watching them, I think that his identity wants them to be, they want to play very physical. They want to control the ball on offense, and they want to attack on defense. So I think as a first-year coach, that's really what you're trying to do. Every situation is a little bit different. But I think if you can get that, you're moving your program in the right direction.
So it's 6:50 p.m. tonight. You're getting ready to take the field. What's your message to the team before they hit that field?
I can't repeat it. I'm just kidding. No.
Without giving up any secrets.
Just what I just told you. I tell them every Friday night or Thursday, I said there's not another locker room in America that I'd rather be in, and I truly mean that. And want them to know that we love them, and let's go out and let's force our will. Let's make them play our game. And I've got pretty much the same message every Friday night, and that's what we want to do is go get after it. You can do all the – I'm not a big hoorah guy before yell and scream and hit my head against the locker and all that kind of stuff before the game because ultimately you got to go out on the field and do it.
You said before the game.
Yeah, and maybe after a halftime, but that's a little different. You didn't ask about that. Okay? But it's about execution, and I think the way we start practice every day, we start practice with the tempo, with the mindset, that helps us start a game like that because you can do all that yelling and screaming, whether it's coaches, kids, whatever, in a locker room. You want to be ready to play, but just because you're yelling and screaming and kicking things and throwing trash cans and all this stuff doesn't mean you're ready to play a football game because then you still got to walk out to the field and you got to wait and you got to go through the coin toss and all that kind of stuff. It's about playing hard on the field and executing. So my message is going to be the same. We're going to go try to play our game, fast, physical, fun, and we want them to play our brand of football.
So 2 weeks off, obviously got a little bit healthy, I believe, seeing some posts. You got some guys back. How close to full-fledged are you going to be tonight with all your guys?
I think closer than we've been in a while, for sure, in probably a month. I don't know exactly, or maybe I do know, but I can't really say the availability of a couple of those guys. But, there's a chance we get a couple of guys back, and whether we use them or not, or use them a little bit, just try to get them in the game, the flow of a game a little bit, so maybe next week's not the first time. That's stuff that we're honestly still discussing. There's a fine line between, all right, do you want to throw a guy in there and kind of get him ready again, or do you risk something happening one play? And there's always that risk, but time will tell. We'll see tonight, and hopefully if we get to next week, if those guys are back or not.
Any concern of starting slow after having a week off?
I think that's always a concern after a bye. Yeah, I felt like last year you try to learn from it. I feel like last year we had the bye and then we had the home playoff game. I thought we started slow offensively last year in that playoff game. So I think that's a concern always as a coach. You're always wondering. I have a trust in this team that I think we're ready to go. I think we did a better job as coaches during the bye week of making sure we still practice, even though we took it some steps off, didn't practice quite as long, try to get not bang our bodies around a little bit. When we were out there, we did crank the tempo up though, so I'm hoping that still benefits us. And I think anytime, doesn't matter what you do, you're in that routine that you talked about, and then you're off that routine, you're not practicing normal, and you don't have that game on Friday night, there's always that chance of, maybe the slow start, like you said. But, we'll see tonight. We'll roll it out there and try to play fast both sides and see how we start.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to that. So kickoff is 7 o'clock tonight at Friendship down in Lubbock, or Wolford, should I say. 7 o'clock. We'll get started around 6:30, hopefully. Shout out to HTO. You want to give us the details on that?
So HTO Lubbock wants to welcome all of our Falcon fans to Lubbock, actually Wolford, but it's these days there's not a separation.
Yeah.
It's kind of all the same. And so anyone that shows up tonight in Bushland Falcon gear at either of their locations on the way to the game is going to get half price drinks. So just their way of saying, hey, let's go Falcons.
What's the closest location to Wolford?
Milwaukee. There's one right there at 66th in Milwaukee. So as you're heading down Marcia Sharp, you exit Milwaukee, go down. It'll be right on your right, and then you can go down to 82nd. And
Let's say we pull the bus up in there. Will they get us free tea?
They will. You know what? If you want to pull the bus in there, I'll make sure they do give y'all some free tea.
There you
They have a
go.
big parking lot in the back. It'll fit the bus.
There you go. So just a little extra in there for you guys to know about. So we'll kick off the broadcast around 6:30 p.m. tonight. Kickoff of the games at 7. As always, we'd rather everybody make the 2-hour drive down and be there in person and fill the stands. But if you can't be there, we'll be on the NFHS network tonight, as we were for volleyball games as of late. But we will be broadcasting on the NFHS network tonight. So just get on NFHS, look for Bushland, and go to the Bushland High School page, or look for the one put on by UI. Is it UIL? UIL is what it'll have on there. But we will be there tonight. 6:30 kickoff. Coach, good luck tonight to the team.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right. For Stephen Lyles, this is Chris Welch with Coach Reynolds.